Hello, beautiful people. I'm Brooke.
And I'm Laura, and together we are BipolarLines. Today's episode is about how you can tell when your loved one is potentially coming out of their psychosis. And we're going to speak from very personal experiences because obviously we're not medical professionals.
Correcto.
Yes.
What a well-timed conversation, Laura.
Yeah. I think our main feed a couple weeks ago, of course, everyone's talking about the Lindsay Clancy trial. And I think what we don't know yet, and what I was telling you, Brooke, what I'm very interested to know yet is if I think she's probably out of it now, considering her sobbing in the courtroom. But when did she come out of her psychosis and realize? Because she would have had to, at some point, I think she, right? Like she confessed to it. So if
she didn't fully confess. It's not documented anywhere that she's confessed. She tried to explain what happened by telling her husband that she was hearing command voices.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. It's just that Kevin Reddington, her lawyer, had said in the opening statement that no one's questioning that she did it.
Correct. And nobody should question that she did it. And that's the middle part that social media is failing to pick up on, is if her lawyer is saying there is no question about who did it. And they also, her attorney tried to get a trial specifically where they're not trying to prove, where the state wouldn't be able to prove like who did it. It wouldn't be part of it. It would just be a trial on criminal responsibility. And the state said no, they wouldn't do it. And then the judge obviously couldn't do it because the state didn't agree. So the point is, you only do that if you have a defendant who is admitting to their role, their part.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. So I think what you and I want to know is that you were telling me, well, you follow this stuff way more closely than me, but you were telling me that one of her friends had testified, and her friend had testified that Lindsay never mentioned her children in the visit. There's a lot of nuance to that. Apparently, the friend was coached not to say anything about the children. But I will say that in my experience with Cody, even though I don't view him as a harm, he's never had harm or thoughts of harming our children. That's never been in any of his psychoses.
Right.
His concern for our children only starts to emerge once he's coming out of psychosis. It's a tell that I look for. So when he's in psychosis, he's very self-absorbed. It's very self-centered. It's very his needs. If our children happen to coincide with what his needs are in psychosis, maybe, he'll express concern for that. But for the most part, he's not asking about that stuff. And so I really want to know with Lindsay, was it because her friend was coached not to say anything about the children? Maybe. Was it because Lindsay wasn't out of her psychosis yet? These are all questions that I have, and they're directly relevant to me with my husband, since he just went through his ninth psychotic episode.
So the one caveat to that I'll state, because it did come out during the state's case in chief, was that when this friend visited, it was in March. Okay. So this was like
that's
late.
A couple months after.
Yeah. She had already had multiple surgeries. She had already been under anesthesia. So all of that adds to that conversation. So I think with the Lindsay Clancy case, it's going to be a little bit more nuanced because she was put under anesthesia. I mean, she's paralyzed. She had to have surgery to stabilize, her spinal cord and everything else. And then she did experience ICU delirium, which we all know. Well, not we all know. I mean, it's a very, very common thing that people experience. So I don't actually know, Laura, that there's going to be a delineated moment in time that people can identify.
Yeah, and I think that if you were just a professional trying to look, this is what's so interesting to me, Brooke, is that if you were just a professional trying to decide when Cody came out of it, I don't think any professional that's ever seen him in his life would be able to tell him that more than I know.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm not saying I know for sure, but I know him more than anybody else. And I know his history. I was telling Brooke, I'm not I'm not actually a great pattern recognitioner. Like that's, Brooke's jam. I'm more leading on like feeling and intuition. But in this case, I am. Like, I know Cody's patterns, especially in something as traumatic as psychosis.
Sure.
So
Absolutely.
I'm definitely hyper vigilant. My PTSD is like paying attention to every little detail. And so in that sense, I do feel like an expert on like when all these psychiatrists are discharging him. I mean, he's in his 5th hospitalization right now. He's in a hospital again for the 5th time. And I'm just like, God damn it. If these psychiatrists would listen to me, I knew he wasn't out. He was just fooling them and gaming the system. And I knew it, but they didn't. So it's very confusing then. I feel like if you're new to this as a spouse or partner, it's very confusing then. Like, well, Laura, how did you know? Well, I obviously didn't know at first. I mean, it was all brand new to both of us.
Sure. Yeah.
But as this is my 9th with him, you do pick up on patterns. And so that is definitely one of them is the kids. I think my main one, though, that I've been telling Brooke this entire time is that in Cody. So also, I need to clarify something because she used to be a certified nurse and now she's turned TikTok famous astrologer. And so she is an expert on psychosis and she was letting everybody know that there is no way Lindsay could have had a psychosis and killed her kids because that would have been insight, because you can have insight into when you're in psychosis, which is true. She was saying a lot of truth and a lot of things that were wrong. And so essentially she was saying a person with psychosis can have insight. That part is true. Like you can have splintered insight. You can believe a delusion, like the FBI is following you, or that spirits are telling you to, off your kids, but you can also function and do doctor's appointments and, like recognize that you have this outside life to do. That is called insight. That can happen. I feel like when people hear this word psychosis, it's like immediate, like the person's a slobbering, crazy,
frothing at the mouth,
like constant, and they can be. That certainly can happen in psychosis, but they can operate. That's how Cody gets out. If you guys want to know how he gets out, that's how he gets out because he acts like he has insight in all of these other areas and he actively avoids any conversation or triggers that will tell on him. And then people are like, oh, well, then she purposefully was keeping that from the professionals. And it's like, you know what? Have you experienced psychosis? I haven't, but I've watched it and it's scary. Can you imagine having something in your head telling you something that like, A, you might know people think you're going to be crazy for saying it, or B, you're just scared that you're having it. And then C, because of the stigma, you might be judged for it. And who knows what they'll do to you for it. There's lots of reasons people aren't going to disclose what they're hearing in psychosis. God,
and a main point, we could, but I want to put this out there because a lot of people may not know this, but in her civil case complaint, it is stated that Lindsay thought people around her could hear her thoughts.
There you go.
So,
because she thinks that's when someone's in psychosis, that kind of makes sense if you understand psychosis, because that is your reality. What our brain interprets from our senses is reality to us. So what you are seeing, what you are hearing, what you are feeling, what you are touching, what you are tasting, goes to your brain and it interprets it. And that is our reality. So if your brain is interpreting things that aren't there, you still think it's your reality. That totally makes sense to me.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Makes sense to me too. And it's like, well, she didn't disclose it. Well, maybe she thought she did.
Yeah, totally.
And even if she didn't, there's also, she had one of the delusions was that her kids were going to be taken away from her or she was going to be locked away because her thoughts, okay, for the record, that only happens if your thoughts get that bad. Frankly, you don't have those concerns if what's happening isn't bad, right? She also was a mandated reporter. So the nursing aspect, I think it worked against her. It didn't help her. But all that to say that, like, it's amazing to me how many people are so against this idea that mental illness and psychosis on some level contributed to what happened. Because again, I'll say this, I don't know how else to say it to where people will understand it. It doesn't excuse what happened.
No, absolutely
It just
not.
helps us understand what happened and why it happened. That if somebody is not in control of their body, they cannot curb their actions to be in line with what's legal, that we can go, they're not a sociopath or a psychopath. this person was experiencing XYZ. Therefore, they need help. They don't need to be locked in a cell 24 hours a day for the rest of their life. Like it.
Yeah. How is that justice? Like, I mean, for me and Brooke, it's not. And like, it's so
It will never
crazy
be.
people, and it's so crazy people on TikTok are like, if you're a woman who's defending Lindsay Clancy, then you should have your children taken away from you. Like, that's been a really common kind of theme too. And it's because they are thinking that even if this was true, that every woman who is feeling for Lindsay Clancy, it's because we had thoughts of harming our children. Let's say even if that was true, which it's not. But even if that was true, this is just where we're at with women's healthcare. It is taken that unseriously that it's criminal to even have a thought like that. And thoughts are just thoughts. Feelings are just feelings. You can't help your thoughts and feelings, especially if you're sick. So like, and you're going to demonize the thoughts and feelings, which is exactly what prevents the person from going to get the help when they have the thoughts and feelings. This is the problem.
Yes.
And she was even getting the help. That's the thing. Like she
Just not
was even
effective
getting
help,
it.
but yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Trying to get the help. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And so my point was like, I personally actually have never had thoughts of harming my children. That's not a moral standard. I'm not trying to like stand on morals or anything. I'm just saying I still understand
that's your
Lindsay.
reality.
Yes, that's my reality. And I can still understand that mental illness exists and another individual could have experienced this because it's a real thing.
Yep.
Anyway.
Preach. Okay.
Going off on a little soapbox there. But going back to this little TikToker lady who was saying that she was like interchangeably using the word psychosis and psychotic break. And those are related, but like you can be in psychosis, like I said, and look relatively normal and functioning. And the psychotic break is actually what looks psychotic. That is the psychotic part. Like that's the thing everyone is like, whoa, what is going on here? Like, so with Cody this time in my house, it wasn't anything like that, but he was like, he's got this obsession. If he's on the spectrum, you guys, it's not it's not formal, but he is. And he has this obsession with these stupid, they're not stupid. It's fine. He can love them. But there's Sasquatch soaps and he gets them in all these, there's like, you know, like, I don't know. You can have special editions and they're lining the shelves of my bathroom. He somehow got a psychosis around them. And so literally in the middle of the night, I don't know if I told this on my TikTok or not, but his psychotic break when he really looked scary to me wasn't about him harming me or harming himself. He had wrapped these soaps up in a Gladlock Ziploc bag and he woke me up and he was shoving them into my chest, emphatically explaining how I needed to hide them in a locked box in his truck. Okay, like that's where it's obvious that is a psychotic break. He'd still been experiencing psychosis all up till then. Doctors are letting him go. Everyone's telling me he's fine. Everyone's telling me he can joke, he can laugh. He's a personable guy. He's so funny. And in his brain, he's having these weird delusions around fucking Sasquatch soaps. Okay, I don't know.
It's mind-blowing, really.
So like, yes, not every psychotic break. I think that's the other stigma too, is that a psychotic break then means a person is going to be violent. That's not true. And in fact, you know, the opposite is actually true. They find that people are more apt to be the victims of violence than the perpetrators. But there are these instances, sadly, that this so unbelievably tragic, horrific thing can happen in a psychotic break.
I mean, you could also think about it this way. Like, I know I've heard stories. One I heard earlier today was that this individual's husband was experiencing psychosis, a religious psychosis at that, where he was trying to preach in the streets and do whatever, all kinds of stuff, right? And his employer, so his boss and a coworker, were visibly, I don't want to say scared, but like concerned for him. So they decided, okay, yeah, we can't, like, he needs help. So they were driving him to a hospital. This individual, the guy who was struggling, opens the car door on the interstate.
God.
Jumps out. You don't know what he was seeing in that moment.
Yeah.
We have no idea, right? But because this is the wild thing about, you know, motor or accidents, but like because he was just existing and he wasn't tense, he wasn't seeing that if he opened the door and got out that like he could die. That wasn't clearly what he was seeing. He wasn't fleeing in a situation where he thought he was in danger. They tried to grab his shirt and pull him back in. And I mean, his body weight just pushed him forward. But Laura, this man got up. He was fine after rolling out of a car.
Wow.
On the interstate, got up and started walking across traffic.
Oh my God. I have like, I
He
don't
got
even
hit.
wanna-
He got hit 3 times, by the way.
Are you serious?
Not a
And he
single
lived?
broken bone.
Well, he's
Not-
lucky because there's people on my TikTok whose significant others weren't lucky.
Yeah, for sure.
That exact same scenario happened in a manic episode driving on an interstate, and they did that exact thing, and they are no longer here.
Yeah. I mean, that's the violence. So that's what I'm saying, that like when somebody's in that space, they, unless it's driven by suicidal homicidal thoughts, that's another angle. But in other words, what they're dealing with is not the reality that we're seeing. So they are not interacting in the reality the way we are seeing them interact in this reality. So
Exactly.
sometimes it's terrible, but sometimes because they are in a different space and time in their head, they're not tensing up or you know what I mean? So that's the psychotic break though. And bad shit happens.
You can still be like I said, violent though in a psychotic break on like a purposefully violent thing, but have it be a delusion in your head. So I'm not sure if this is true or not with Lindsay, but there's been reports that she said, "Go with God now, baby," or something, or you're okay. So exactly. So in their mind, they get to thinking that the child is in danger and that they're actually saving them by getting them to go with God. And that hit a little too close to home with me. My friend died by suicide in 2018. And prior to that, she's always been diagnosed with depression. That's been a thing since I'd known her since she was 16. She took antidepressants on and off, and then she went off them largely in our 20s and tried to manage it with nutrition and exercise, and she seemed fine. And then she had her first child, and she was fine. She actually asked me to monitor her because she was worried about a depression type thing. And I mean, she was a great mom, doting mom, like the best mom, took the best pictures. She was a photographer, just loved him. And then 5 years later, is closer to my son's age, she had her second child and things went real south real fast. And I don't think it certainly wasn't on my radar. I mean, 2016 was when Cody had his second manic psychotic episode, but I'd never heard of postpartum. Like I just knew my friend had depression. And then I knew that she started acting really bipolar. Like she started doing stuff Cody was doing. Like she started, well, not that Cody was doing, but it was reminiscent of a psychosis type situation. So she was going to metaphysical places. She was getting her tarot cards read. She bought a spirit radio 3 times because her husband dumped it twice because she was acting crazy. Like she's got this radio where she's talking to spirits, talking to her dead dad, talking to whatever. And we're just further losing this girl. Like, and then she doesn't want to hear it. I remember like if I would bring it up to her, like the most vitriolic, like devilish voice came out of her where she was like, it just, our relationship soured because I couldn't reach her. I was like, anyway, plus I'm raising my own family and I have a husband who's manic psychotic as well, going in and out of episodes. So it is what it is. But then in 2018, well, actually, no, in the middle of that 2-year span, her sister, who lives in another state, caught on to a blogspot blog that my friend was writing on. And it wasn't well known. It wasn't like really public. I don't know how her sister exactly found it, but she did. And she sent me, the blogspot no longer exists, but I will never forget. She sends me this one post and my friend basically describing how she was talking to Michael the Archangel over her spirit radio. And Michael was telling her that she had to shed the blood of the lamb for him to be saved. And ultimately the act could not be completed because Sarah was too weak. And I mean, her sister freaks out and like she's in another state. She calls me, she calls the husband. She asked because in that blog post too, it said there was a mark of something left on the chest as proof that she tried but couldn't complete it. And, my friend's husband has issues of his own. Not to judge him. I'm just saying, we're all trying to survive. He's got his own shit too. And he was like, well, I don't really think so. And she's like, will you please just check? Please just check. And he checked and God damn it, you guys, there was a mark right over that baby's heart. So,
Jeez.
I mean, and then ultimately I don't know the timeline exactly, but ultimately when she did take her own life, it was reported she was talking to herself. And then she just went off a parking garage. So, I mean, we don't know what her actual diagnosis was, but I mean, to me, this is very reminiscent when I'm watching this Lindsay Clancy trial of that, where it was like possibly she had this postpartum psychosis. My friend, though, didn't want help. My friend was like, I'm good. Like, I'm talking to spirits. Like, you don't understand me. Like, I have extra powers, psychic abilities. Where Lindsay was different in that aspect, but ultimately you're still, oh my God. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And, there is also the underlying bipolar disorder diagnosis that I believe she absolutely had.
Yes.
Period.
And that was the thing. I remember taking my friend to the ER once from another concerning Facebook post. And when she got out of it, she did tell me she was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And then she never admitted it again. She was like, I never said that to you. I never said that to you.
And you're like, okay.
Yeah. So I think that was like really similar. But anyway, all that to say, this topic really was about how do we know a person is coming out of it? And now we can see how it's really scary. A person can be in it for a very long time and it go undetected and it go untreated. Because that is mental health care in this country, you guys.
1000%. So what does it look like for Cody when you start? What do you look for when you are trying to figure out if he is in psychosis or if he's coming out of it?
Yeah. So one major thing, and I don't want you guys to take this as a universal sign of any one person in psychosis because it is all individual. In fact, I was just compiling a checklist. ChatGPT keeps trying to like give me their clinical opinion. I'm like, I didn't ask for your clinical opinion. I asked you for what I said and what I said these symptoms are. And I want you to compile them in a checklist. Because ChatGPT, I also did this when Cody first started getting manic at that wedding. And it was like, well, you can't really know for sure. I'm like, I don't want your clinical opinion anymore. Tell me what Laura said. Yeah. Tell me what Laura said she's seeing that leads her to believe this is happening. And so
I'm telling you it's true. Okay.
So that's what I want. So remember, this isn't universal, but these are some things that I do look for. So one thing would be any type of authentic remorse. Not in, I'm sorry that you felt this way. I'm sorry that you're going, like it, not type of that apology. It's like full accountability. Where it's like, I am so sorry I put you through this. I am so sorry I did this to us. Like it is like it's kind of like a full accountability moment where and it's precipitated by his memories coming back like online, which isn't always the case for everyone in psychosis. In fact, on my TikTok, it seems way more common for people not to remember what happened in psychosis or have, like we talked about last episode, Brooke, spotty memories. That's not true with Cody. And so for Cody specifically, I know when he starts remembering things he did in an active psychosis, we are coming back. And one big thing this time was his phone. So in his first kind of psychotic break, which was with me at our house, he hid his phone in a backpack in our basement. And I found it, but he could not remember where he put it. In fact, he was losing his phone this whole episode. I think, Brooke, you made
so many phones.
So many phones. So many times. But anyways, I knew that if once he could tell me where it was, we were on our way back. Maybe not 100%. I'm just saying these are tells I'm listening for. And so the other day when I was asking him, he remembered. He didn't remember the exact spot. He said it was in a blue backpack in our basement. And yes, it was. And I was like, okay, interesting. So that's like another tell that where I know he remembered his keys. He was losing his keys and his phone and his wallet this whole episode, you guys. I think the wallet is irreparably gone. He did find the keys again, and he does remember where the phone is. And so those are another tell that I look for. Like I said, like even full accountability when I want to blame other people that I guess I won't name right now. But, like when I want to be like, these other people had accountability in your episode. He's like, no, because it wouldn't have happened if I hadn't been sick. Everything that happened was a result of me getting sick. Like when he has that full accountability, I'm looking for that. Like that just doesn't happen. And it's sincere. Like, I don't know how to explain the difference between when I know he might just be saying it to say it, when it actually is authentic. I think I know when it's authentic when he's sobbing, you guys. Like he was sobbing, distraught, like can't control that, like, oh my gosh, that just like whoosh of regret, I guess. So, that's a big tell for me. And then another one. And
it's also like complex thinking. He's adding what happened and he's tracking it to this wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for me. I have bipolar disorder. I was in an episode. So it's complex thinking.
Yes. Yeah, where it's not just a cause and effect. It's not just like, well, you did this, so I did that.
Yes.
You had this reaction, so I had this reaction.
Correct.
Yeah, it's being able to like process through that. You're exactly right. The other
So it
thing
may
is,
not be that or for the listeners, it may not be that your person is apologetically remembering and taking accountability, but if they're able to think and their cognitive skills are coming back online, not 100%, but some where they can think through the situation, whatever that is, and provide a linear, cohesive thoughts on it, not just chaos. It has to make sense, right?
Yeah.
That's how it's genuine.
And I think if you're confused out there, this is also learned through time. Remember, this is my 9th time with Cody. So I don't think I would have had this mental clarity at 1 or 2, but I mean, certainly at this point, and now I've seen this pattern. Like I said, I'm not really a pattern recognitioner type person, but I've seen this now play out so many times, and I'm looking for it so hard because it's so traumatic that like I am clocking these patterns, you know? Yeah. The other thing is that I want to do a TikTok and ask people, and I don't think I've asked you, Brooke, and if I have, remind me. Do you have a name for Jeremy's alter ego in a manic psychotic episode? So Cody and I's name, we don't name it. He's just that guy. Like that is the name for manic psychotic Cody. And then my brother-in-law, he has a brother right now in a manic episode, and he has a name for him. Like it's a different name than him altogether. Like, do you guys have an alternative alter ego name?
We've not. Maybe we should, but it's like we were talking yesterday that like Jeremy's long manic episodes have been when he's been in a facility and then let out, and he hasn't been home.
Yeah.
And then both of those turned into psychosis. So his other transitions would be from hypomania to mania, but they're very short-lived now because he, uses the meds. So I would say just he's a dick, but
I mean, definitely, that is a universal theme that they're a complete asshole.
Yeah, for sure.
But so anyways, we do, and the whole family knows it. Like we all call it that guy. Cody will talk about how he hates that guy. And anyways, when Cody is actively that guy, sadly, when he's active manic psychotic, if I were to tell him like I don't want to talk to that guy, like Cody would be like, talk to me, I miss you. And I'll be like, well, I don't miss that guy. If Cody's manic psychotic, he can't separate himself from, because that's his reality, just like we were saying. So he'll be like, yeah. And he doesn't know he's that guy. So he's like, I'm Cody. Like he'll become very, very irritated because he's like, what are you talking about? Cody's right here. Like, so, in one of the instances, my son and I were here and my son was cooking chicken and Cody came home, and Cody would be so proud if my son was cooking chicken the way Cody normally cooks it. And instead he was mocking and sneering. And I didn't expect Cody to come home, by the way. So I wasn't expecting to have this happen to Jace. So there's that, but he did. And then I just looked at Jace and I was like, I'm so sorry. Cody's not here, Jace. If he were, he'd be so proud of you. And then Cody, that guy Cody, is in the back being like, I am here. And I'm like, I'm so sorry that guy is here. So it's that where then if I say something like that to him when he's coming out of it, Cody has this like duality. He understands there's a duality to him. He understands that both that guy and Cody are living within him, but he understands there's this duality that we're seeing. And so I look for that where he can recognize like, I'm not that guy anymore. Like, or he just told me, what was it, yesterday when he was sobbing, like it was a Friday and he was having this like sob fest of remorse, all the stuff that I'm talking about right now that I look for when I see a person coming out of psychosis. He was having, not when I see a person, when I see Cody coming out of psychosis, this is what I see. And he was able to be like, your Cody's always been here. And I'm like, but he wasn't, with like crying emojis and like a broken heart. And he was like, he just lost his way, Laura. So he can recognize that both are living within him, this duality. And that's not something he can do when he's in active psychosis. Okay, so then those are kind of things I look for, and I was seeing that on Friday. I was hearing and seeing all of those things, and all of those are like really positive signs. And he's like in a facility right now, so that's a positive sign. And he did want me to pick him up last night, and I did think it was visiting hours, unfortunately, and so I did go down there. And it wasn't. But the fact that he knew I was there, he was like, I voluntarily, committed myself. Discharge me. And I was on the phone with Brooke and I'm like, God, it's throwing me because he's saying everything that is an indicator is coming out of psychosis. Like And then I'm like, what I'm going to have to throw out his triggers. And not because I want to trigger him, but because I want to know if he can handle things that are very upsetting, outside a hospital setting. And so I'm throwing out these triggers and he's handling them all. He's taking all accountability. He's crying. It's his fault. He must have been wrong. Like, I'm like, okay, like I'm still not going to sign him out. I still left, but I was like, this is a good sign. So anyways, today I woke up to a flurry of 30 to 50 manic texts, just like right back where we would have left off with him manic. And I'm like, okay, nope, he's not better. But then I called him out on it. And he's like, I blocked him and stopped talking to him again. And he's like, why aren't you talking to me? I miss you. It was that same guy from yesterday that was back. And he's like, don't do this to us, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, I'm not talking to that guy. I'm like, I woke up to that guy. You dysregulated me. My whole Saturday morning was fucked up. And so, no, I don't want to talk to you. And I don't want to even talk about reconciling right now because you pissed me off and I'm tired.
Right.
And he was back to being Friday Cody the whole day. And then he asked to FaceTime because, why can't you not FaceTime in a mental hospital? And so I'm cooking, baking with my daughter. And I'm like, okay, fine. Like he's relentless because he has nothing to do. He's like, please, I miss you. I want to see my girls. I want to see my favorite girls. So I relent. I put FaceTime up. Like, my daughter and I are baking and he's so happy. Like, it's like if he were in our house. He's so proud of her. He's telling her how pretty she is. He's telling her what a great job she's doing. Like, she's all, she's like listening. And yeah, it's like him. Like, he is with us. And so I haven't even told Brooke this yet. So Brooke and I were supposed to record the whole day and things just kept coming up. And finally we were going to do it. And then I was like, I'm so sorry, I can't do it. And Brooke's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm not telling you what I'm doing because you're going to be like, what? So basically Cody is just convinced that because he checked himself in voluntarily, I can check him out because he made a whole discharge plan already, apparently with the staff, and I am on it. And this was another thing that told me he's getting better too, is he was like, I want to get out of the hospital, but you are my discharge plan. I'm sorry I didn't put you on the discharge plan at the last hospital. I'm sorry I didn't trust you to help me. And he's like, so I want to get out of the hospital, but I'm going to stay until I can discharge to you, whenever that is. I mean, that's another good sign that he's better.
Yeah.
And so anyway, he's convinced that if I just go get him, that like he can get out. And I had talked to a nurse last night and I talked to a nurse this morning and they both are like, no, like there are no doctors to discharge him on a weekend. Like it is not going to happen. And he is convinced. And I'm like, you know what? My whole Saturday morning got fucked up. The day was great, but now it's going to be fucked up again because he has like I could block him, but why am I going to block him in the healing process? Like now we're in a healing process and I see the healing. So I don't want to make him go backwards. So I'm like, I either deal with him constantly being like, come get me. Let me FaceTime you. Hang out with you. I'm going to either deal with that all tonight or I'm just going to can go down there. And I accepted the fact if they did actually discharge him, I thought I could deal with it. I'm like, you know what? I think he is actually coming out of it. If I do get another manic episode in the morning or something, like I can handle that. Ultimately, when Cody has gained that much insight and that much remorse and regret after an episode, I've never seen him re-enter psychosis in the whole 8 times I've been with him. So I'm like, if I have to wait out some manic shit, I can do it as long as I know he's not going back into psychosis. So that was what I did. So I went down there and he's on the call with the nurse and I don't know what's going to happen. And then I finally I'm here, I'm in the parking lot. I go to open the door and the doors are closed and the waiting room is locked. And I'm like, Cody, it's not open. And he's like, what do you mean it's not open? It's lit up like a Christmas tree in here. He starts getting really agitated, really worked up. And he's like, let me go talk to the nurse. And he talks to the nurse and the nurse was like, you need to tell your wife to turn around. And he's like, my wife is here. I have to go. She is my discharge plan. And the nurse is like, we are not letting you go. And he's like, yes, you are letting me go. I voluntarily committed myself. I can take myself. Like it's the whole thing. And then I had also bought cigarettes for him because he's out of cigarettes. And in this facility, some facilities he can't have cigarettes. Some he can. This one he can have them. So I bought them to bring to him. If I couldn't see him, I could at least drop him off his damn cigarettes. And he's like, well, she at least has my cigarettes. You need to let her in. And they're like, it's closed. We're not letting her in. Tell her to turn around and go home. Like I'm hearing this on the phone.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, buddy, honey, I'm going home. I told you you weren't going to be able to discharge to me until Monday. I came down here in good faith effort. We FaceTimed. You saw me at the door. Like, I acted crazy enough for you. I'm going home. No. He starts getting like really desperate. Don't go, Laura. Don't hang up this phone. And he's like,
God love him.
Bang on the door. And I'm like, I am not, sir, banging on the door. And then while we've been in this podcast, he was like, what did he say? Like, the voicemail was, it's actually really funny. So why didn't you leave me any cigarettes? Why didn't you try knocking on the door? Why didn't you try anything? And then the next one was like, he say, I don't know where it came in, but he was like, all I asked is for you to act a little crazy and bang on the door. So like, he still understands that that's crazy. I mean, like, me banging on the door with my teenage daughter is at a mental institution. Like, no.
Like, you're begging to get in. Jesus. Okay. Well, I would not have admonished you had you told me.
Was the wrong word. I was telling Brooke, like, she's just very logical, where I lead with my intuition. So my intuition was telling me, if I want to, unless I blocked him, which I don't want to do because he's in the healing process, if I want to have a good night and a relaxing night, I need to prove to him he can't actually come home to me. So I'm going to take a half an hour, 40 minutes out of my day to prove that. And then if he does come home, I am going to accept that I do honestly think I can handle him, because I do think he's out of psychosis.
Yeah.
Even if he's still very unstable.
I mean, that was a risk. Not gonna lie, that was a risk.
It is a risk. And then when we got, or actually the other tell, and I put this into ChatGPT, I would have never thought this. Cody is an avid video game player, whether it's on the PlayStation 5 or whether it's on his phone. So video games are he plays video games during work because he's an engineer. He can just hop on his phone and play video games while he's QA testing shit. And his brain can so not focus even in a hypomanic state. He hasn't played a video game since the start of this episode at the very end of June. And so while we were FaceTiming him, making our baked goods that Ashlyn and I are doing tonight, Ashlyn was like, what are you doing, Dad? And he's like, oh, I'm just playing a game on my phone. And I was like,
it's a good time.
What? Like, you focus long enough to play a game on your phone? So that's another one that I put into ChatGPT. So again, this is not Laura saying in the DSM-5, this is the list of things that let you know a person is coming out of psychosis. Like, absolutely not. I'm saying that, like, and Brooke and I always say this, you know your person, you know their baseline. It's the same when you know they're going manic. One person can get 6 hours of sleep and handle it just fine. And another person who normally has 6 hours is suspicious. Like, it's always about knowing your person and knowing their baseline.
And that's the thing that, like, everybody has to understand, that everybody has a different baseline.
Yes.
Period.
Yes.
Period. You cannot just assume somebody has the same baseline across the board. So yeah, great points there, Laura. I think you all might know by if there's visual cues. Laura's husband does not experience the same manic eyes that Jeremy does, that a lot of people do.
Interesting.
His pupils are teeny tiny, whereas Jeremy's take up his entire eye, right? So there's also those little visual cues that you pay attention to, whatever it is for your person. Okay. It's not across the board as much as people would like for it to be. But all that being said, if you're not sure, you're curious, or you maybe think one is a sign, the best thing I can tell you, in being Laura's buddy, we've talked about that in the Facebook group.
Thank you. You've
the
been
best
so
thing
helpful.
You're welcome, would be at the first thought that your person is getting better or doing better, stop. Just stop. Because you want to hold on to that hope. You want to grab onto that hope. And then within the next 10, 20, 30 minutes, 2 hours, your world is flipped upside down again. Because that hope will guide your actions, period.
Yeah, that's true.
It does. And so if you've got to be able to see a few things consistently, not in the moment, because mania is super manipulative, but you have to see things consistently over a longer period of time for you to feel comfortable and confident that things are getting better. Mm-hmm. So remind yourself of that, because it's already exhausting. It's already exhausting. But then, like, going through that hamster wheel again where, oh, it's almost getting better. Oh, just kidding. My world is imploding. Oh, it's better. Nope, my world's imploding. Like, don't get on that roller coaster yet. Just make note of it. Give yourself the opportunity to identify it and then ask, okay, is this consistent? Is my person doing the same thing tomorrow? Okay, great. That's a good sign, right? And I know it's hard, and we've talked a lot about this, Laura, throughout this episode of Cody's. Like, my processing is fact-based first. It is just
which
how
I love
work.
about you. I love that about you.
And then I can get emotional. But if I don't have the facts, I got no emotion, period. Because I'm still trying to figure out the facts.
It's really fascinating to me because I operate opposite.
Yeah.
So I operate on how I feel. Like, what am I feeling from this situation? And then what facts do I have to back up my feeling? Like, you know, and I'm looking for it in like literally the opposite
in
way.
Reverse, yeah.
And we both get there, but just in very different ways.
Yes. So I totally lost my train of thought there, but...
Oh, I'm sorry.
No. I got it.
Really? Okay.
I got it. The point is, I say these things, and I'm sure you all are like, listeners are like, yeah, okay, Brooke, that's fantastic. Like, it's not that freaking easy. I get it.
Sure. No, it's not that easy.
And Laura is like, yeah, okay, Brooke, sure. Like, cool. But also, and I'm like, I know. But I say that just make a note of it, like you're doing with the ChatGPT, the little checklist. Like, how is this going? Check in with yourself because it's hard. And also be mindful that Laura's husband seems to have the same psychotic presentations in pretty much every episode. I don't mean everything is the same. I mean, he tends to do the same things in some variation. Not all people do that. So if you're making this checklist for is my person coming out of psychosis, just be mindful that if it happens again, it may not look the same.
Yes.
That's what I have to say.
And in like Cody's case, it's always some sort of persecutory delusion. So it's a very specific type of delusion. And it changes who is persecuting him. The persecuting party tends to be different, but there always has an element of that. And so, with that goes this cycle that seems very familiar. I just want to mention one more thing because I want to mention it to ChatGPT, honestly, and make sure I mention it to myself. Before Cody goes from mania, which is really bad. Like, Cody has very, very, very bad manic episodes. Before it breaches over to psychosis, there's always a period there, at least in the last 2 episodes that I can think of, there's this period of like, it's like Cody knows it's going to happen and he can't stop it. Like, and he knows it. I don't know, him and I have never talked about it, but I remember thinking like, it was like he wanted to hang on to sanity and he knew it wasn't going to happen. And it didn't. He went into psychosis right after that.
All right. Well, another great conversation with you. I am so glad to hear that he is showing signs of improvement, and that is fantastic. Yes.
Thank you. Me too.
So to our OG listeners and new, if our show speaks to you, please be sure to like, follow, subscribe on your favorite platform. We're also on the YouTube. You can join our Facebook group, BipolarLines Pod. It is a private group, a safe space with the option to post anonymously. Yeah, just go on there and check us out.
Yeah, and if you want to hear more from us, you can join our Spotify membership. We call it the Line Holders Club. You'll get 2 bonuses a month at least. But don't worry, the main free feed will always remain the same and it will always be free. I do want to mention some exciting news. I did not plan to publish my book when Bipolar moved in during an episode. I had the release date always planned August 8th because I'm woo-woo and it's called the Lionsgate Portal. So I've had that planned since June before Cody entered his manic episode. But yeah, I have a new book out. So
congratulations.
Thank you.
It's available on Amazon.
Yes. And if you want to find me, I am the BP spouse on TikTok and Instagram, and Brooke is
break_the_stigma on TikTok and my name on Instagram. All right. Well, that is all for this episode. As always, thank you so much for being here, for showing up for your person, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.